Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm a leader, speaker, and creator, and you're welcome to episode 4 of the Tea Time Global Podcast. In episode 3, I shared with you how to get into the no stress zone. In this zone, you experience calm, composure, and peace of mind. And if you're yet to listen to episode 3, go check it out. You'd love it. Before I begin what I want to share with you in this episode, let me give you a backstory. I mentioned in the previous episode that I took some days off work to rest. In this time, I was able to plan for my quarterly cleanup exercises that I have with the youth in my community through my nonprofit Lead, Inspire, Create. And by the way, the next cleanup exercise is happening this Saturday, 26th of August. So if you're interested in being a part of this initiative, you can reach out to my team through our contact details. When I resumed work from leave, I was driving home one day and I decided to stop by a mart to get some stuff. And just when I'm about to enter the mart, I hear someone call my name. Then I see this gentleman walking towards me. And you know that feel where someone recognizes you and then you're trying hard to recognize the person also so that you don't sort of embarrass the person. So this guy is walking towards me, and the whole time I'm trying to recollect where I know this gentleman from. Now, it turns out that this guy knows me from back in the day in the university when apparently we're in the same hall. And he mentioned that we've spoken a couple of times when I was campaigning to be president of my hall. So the conversation goes on, and there's a part that actually got me. He said, I listened to your podcast. I put the podcast out. I know people listen to it, but it feels very different when somebody actually tells you they listen to it and they actually give you feedback about the podcast and things they love about it. And at this point, he's sharing it and I'm smiling the whole time because it's actually exciting to hear. And then he says, you know what, I have a question. And these are his exact words. He says, I hear you talk about purpose and having a plan, setting goals, but don't you wake up sometimes and feel like there's no motivation to continue? You just want to be in bed, do nothing. And I tell him, there are days where I wake up with no motivation. You literally have Bruno Mars's lazy song playing in your head the whole time. There's actually no problem in feeling less motivated to do something or perform a particular task, because sometimes this might be a sign of burnout. The problem is if this lack of motivation is consistent. Motivation is linked to high dopamine levels in your system. So in periods where you have high dopamine in your system, you'll be highly motivated. And in periods where you have low dopamine in your system, you'd experience low motivation. In this episode, I'd like to share with you what to do when you're experiencing low motivation and how you can boost your motivation. The first is focus on why. Anytime you have things to do or tasks to do or a goal to accomplish and you feel less motivated to do it, try to remind yourself why you're doing the task in the first place. There are times when I wake up and I feel less motivated to record a new episode, but just the thought that I have listeners out there who are waiting for my next episode because I've promised I'm going to release a new episode every 2 weeks inspires me to go out there and record. Because I know by sharing my story, someone out there will be inspired to live their purpose and optimize their potential. So even if it means staying up till late to record because of my work schedule, there's a desire to do that. Because that's a very little price to pay considering the impact this episode would make. What's your why? There's a study that was done on patients in an accident recovery ward. And these people were observed over a period, and they realized that the people who had dependents recovered faster, matter of fact, twice as fast as the people who did not have any dependents. And when they interviewed these people who had dependents and recovered faster, they realized that these people, all the time that they were in the hospital, were actually yearning to go back home because they wanted to go spend time with their dependent. What's your why? The second thing I'll share with you is enjoy the process. Oftentimes, we lack motivation because we are too fixated on the end that we forget to enjoy the process. Every detail counts. So enjoy each step as it's an end in itself. Celebrate little wins. Because, for instance, each time I put out a new episode, I'm excited because it's each episode I put out there is another step towards reaching 1 million people worldwide. So when you wake up with no motivation to chase your goals, remember every step you take is a victory in itself. So enjoy it. And the last thing to do when you lack motivation is to listen to motivation. Have a playlist of motivational music or messages that resonate with you. And there's a reason I say select the ones that resonate with you, because there are so many of them out there, and every motivational audio has its own theme. There are motivational audios that talk about how to overcome fear, how to be confident, how to go out there and chase your dreams. There's several of them. So choose the one that resonates with you. Because if your goal is to go out there and make impact, then you might not necessarily fear speaking to people, such that a motivational audio about how to have confidence might not really speak to you. And I want to mention that not everybody is built to be high impact. So this is not even just for people who are in high impact or high achievers. This is for everybody who wants to optimize their potential, because everybody has a purpose. And if you want to go out there and optimize your potential, then this is something you'd want to do. So folks, that's all for our podcast for today. And if you lack motivation, do these 3 things. Think about your why, enjoy the process, and listen to some motivation. And today, I'll leave you with a quote by Theodore Roosevelt, who was the 26th President of the United States of America. The man in the arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls, who neither know victory nor defeat. The Man in the Arena by Theodore Roosevelt. Folks, thank you for listening to episode 4 of the Tea Time Global podcast. And if you haven't subscribed to this podcast yet, kindly follow or subscribe by hitting the notification button so you'd be notified when we release another episode. And please do not forget to share this with your friends and family. We're available on all your favorite listening platforms, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube at Tea Time Global. T spelled T-E-E. And you can reach us on our WhatsApp number +233 20 934 5008. Let us know what stood out for you in this episode. And until the next episode, cheers.